And those on the phone here in the same room? Julie, can you give me a thumbs up if you can hear me?
I can hear you. Thank you.
Fantastic. It is 5:04 on January 7th, 2025. I'd like to start this condo council meeting. Sorry, you're fine. I'm Jacob, the general manager with Town Hall. Thank you all for attending, those in person and those online as well. In this room, I have Chris.
Hi, I'm Chris. I'm the sidekick. I'm your inspector for all your condos.
Oh, Donna Haber, president of Chile Years Ago.
Peter LaFay, Secretary, Terraces and East Village.
Marty Collins, I'm Secretary for Sienna.
Tim Swisher, Board of Directors, Maris. I'm Walt Evans, Mirasol, Treasurer.
Lynn Holland, Secretary, Terraces and Celebration.
Harley Huber, Isaacs, Orson, the condo president.
Pure Spring Park Terrace Economy Association, Board Member.
The Molly Spring Park Terraces Secretary.
Mark Mesa, Vice President of Carlisle South.
All right, online, I know we have Julie
Yes, Julie Pino, the president of Carlisle North.
and Betty. We have, I see Marco, Betty, and then Danica, our community standards manager, is online, as well as Lauren, the executive director.
Hi.
Hi, Danica. All right, she apologized. She was wanting to attend in person and she is out ill. I want to start with we reviewed these discussion items today. We have a new board liaison, as Celia has left the CROA board and left this position. Eric Ockengard is now the liaison to the Condo Council Committee. He is in the room. Welcome, Eric, and thank you for your dedication to our community. Is there anything you'd like to say or anything you're wanting to get out of this council?
No, just so,
Can we invite Eric to the table?
Marco, I appreciate the invitation. I'm going to tell everyone, those that see me, I'm also the liaison to the ARC, the Architectural Review Committee as well. I'm a firm believer that the liaison liaises. This is your meeting to be able to do that. So if there's things that get escalated or things that need to happen, that's where I would step in and do that. But I don't want the perception of me essentially having a seat at the table, because I don't. My job is here to serve you guys and hear what's going on. Condos are a huge part of our community. A lot of people don't realize the number of residents that in the community that live in a condo association of some kind. So it's definitely important to the board. So I'm still learning different pieces, taking over from Celia. So I'm excited to kind of see where this goes. And then obviously you all have my contact information, or we can get it over to you if you ever have something that you guys need or need escalated up to the board of directors. But thank you guys.
Thank you. Thank you, Eric. On that, if you do ever want to reach out to Eric and you don't have his exact email, if you use our main town hall email, the townhall@SierraMail, and just in the subject line, write attention Eric, that will get directly sorted to him.
Hey, Greg. Jacob, so I just want to introduce myself too. So I'm Greg Freilich with the CDD. I have been on the board for about you're certainly not right. I've been on the board for about 4 years. I just switched from the role of chairman to being the CROA liaison. So I'm here tonight just kind of on behalf of CDD, just as I'm trying to get more intertwined with the CROA side of operations and liaisoning, not just with their board, but obviously with all the different elements. I don't really have anything prepared for tonight for you. I think most of you maybe you're familiar with what we do. Maybe some of you aren't. As far as our responsibilities with sidewalks, trees, light poles, ponds, alleyways, more infrastructure types of things. Some of those, again, it gets a little confusing in town. I think everybody will admit, as far as kind of who owns what, some of it changes through the properties. I know there have been a lot of questions between condos and service areas and private homes and businesses and all that with some of the responsibilities for tree trimming or alleyway maintenance, or hey, if I got a light out, things like that. So If you have any questions, I'm going to sit in for tonight. I'd love to come back on these as often as needed, but just that way, if there's any questions or common issues.
And your name again, I'm sorry.
Greg File. So that's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. It'd be my suggestion that we get through these discussion items, and if there's any time remaining, which I think there can be, we can allow any questions that this committee may have for Greg, as far as just generalized Q&A for CDD. We can allow that in this space. This is, as you all know, a CROA facilitated meeting. So if items get too in-depth with CDD, we might have to ask to take those offline and direct them more towards CDD as a whole. But I appreciate, Greg, you being here. It's always great to have a person in the room that can help answer or straighten things out quickly.
Absolutely.
Okay. So our next item on is communication from the HOA and management.
Yeah, this is my item, my line item here. So as I do your quarterly inspections, and I want to say that I'm glad to see all this in here. Thank you very much. As I'm doing you guys' quarterly inspections, I am starting to notice that there's not a lot of feedback from most of the associations or the management companies. Once they receive their quarterly letter with the punch list of, hey, we got to do this, and these things, what's going on with this and this. I spend probably about 3 hours just putting together your letters and the inspection report. So when I send that out, I am looking for a response from your management team or your HOA president or whoever you have managing your facility. I do need a plan of action each quarter of why things aren't getting done or why things are getting done or what the lag time is. I'll use the terraces as an example. They communicate with me on every line item detail. I don't even have to ask. Roger blows up my email. He's like, Chris, we're doing this. We've scheduled this person for this. We cannot do the pressure washing because there's too many chemicals. So we're looking at this guy. Their communication is absolutely flawless. That's the only one I can say that about. The others, I do need the communication to step up a little bit. So I'm not chasing you guys down after the inspection going, well, they didn't put mulch down this quarter. Why was that? Now I have to try to schedule a meeting with somebody to figure out, is it a finance thing? Is it you can't find a vendor thing? Are we short on mulch in this Central Florida area? I do need answers to my inspections before the next inspection rolls around. Does that make sense to everybody? Yeah. Okay. That's basically the communication to improve.
Chris, could I ask a question? It's Julie. How are you? So are
Yes,
you
ma'am.
saying that, for instance, with our management company, you're sending a quarterly note on what has to be done, or you want us to send it to you?
No, I'm
You're
sending it to you.
them. Right.
Correct.
I thought we had answered that between you and I.
You,
but you're saying-
with your one-on-one walkthrough that we did together, that did answer it, but that's not something that's always guaranteed. So if there's not a quarterly walkthrough, because sometimes we get busy, especially me, and we
Right.
don't always have time to schedule that, I do need a response from that letter stating, hey, we're looking at this, that, or the other.
And that's going to management.
That goes directly to me.
No, I
need to
mean,
know.
it's going to the
Yeah,
management.
to your
company.
management company, correct.
Okay.
To your CAM.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and on a side note, when we did the walk on your property, the road in between your two sets of buildings is not public road. That is a part of your property. That is private.
Edward Street.
I wanted to clarify that point with you.
Okay, because we were told that it wasn't. So Edwards does not belong to Osceola County. It's ours.
Correct. That road
Okay.
belongs to your condo complex. That is not public road.
Okay, that's good to know. And also we had the discussion about the parking lot, which we will be talking about when I get back in January, as far as doing something with that for the residents of Celebration.
Yep.
Okay.
You want to go to one C?
Yeah, does anyone have any discussion on that or on?
Any questions on communication with my office
I'll
from your
definitely
people?
get together with you if it's an issue, let me know.
Okay.
And you're sending these letters directly to the management?
I email them to your management company,
Probably.
and by federal law, because
Right.
not everybody has internet, we still have to legally mail them. So there's two sets. There's a physical one and then that same one goes.
It's going to the property manager.
Correct.
Not the-
Correct.
As with all of our community standards, we want to work our best with any violations or any issues that are up. So in that sense, as Chris said, if it's something that, it's a power wash, your building may need power wash. It's this lines of communication, as you all are one of the most important things, especially when we talk about these community standards. So if we notice something that it is a violation with these larger condo associations, we know things can take time or are scheduled projects. Just those types of lines of communication is what we're looking for, mainly from those management companies as well on, oh, yeah, we're looking at doing the power washing, and that's going to probably take place on this month. That allows us to at least put that on the record. We know we can kind of pause on that and hopefully, work with you is the main goal that we're trying to do with that.
With Carlisle South's new management company that you guys picked up, I did reach out on my last inspection. I sent it over to them. That property manager did call me personally, and we set up a one-on-one walkthrough, which I found to be fantastic because Carlisle South's in great shape. But I wanted to walk through with him at least one time to get to know him, so he knew who I was, and I went over everything with him verbally so that he knew exactly what I was looking for. So I do appreciate that from him.
Thank you. Was Blake, right?
Mhm.
Okay, he's nice.
Blake from the Midwest.
Yes.
All right, can we move on to item C, holiday decorations? This specifically is going to regard end of year holiday decorations, Christmas, Kwanzaa, everything that we, Yule, Hanukkah, everything that we celebrate now. It is coming up on 2 weeks after the holiday at the end of this week. Please remind your residents to start pulling. Again, I already told my staff, do not go out until Friday. We will start writing people up on Friday. So just remind your residents, start pulling the lights, start pulling the blow ups, start pulling the dying trees on the balconies and whatever else we got. I've seen it all. Just make sure we're cleaning up after the holidays.
Official rule is 45 days.
And no, 14 days after, 45 before.
Okay,
We like to get a good head start on decorations because our community does it very well.
14.
14 after.
So it does roll very tightly into the allotment to allow Valentine's decorations, which is 45 days prior to the 14th of February.
Our friends at the end of Water Street have that down.
Yes.
They don't miss a beat. Any questions on holiday decorations?
That was 45 days before?
45 days before.
So that would include like a Christmas tree on the balcony.
Correct. Even if it's not decorated, if you have a Christmas tree, artificial or real, it does need to disappear. Your regular patio furniture needs to come back.
If an inspector would deem that item as a holiday decoration, that's what it would be in reference to.
Going into discussion item D, windows. We know that you guys have your own standards for window replacement in the condos. The CROA board and the committee, the covenants committee is coming up with new regulations for windows. They haven't gotten that to us yet. So as of now, the rule on windows still stands. I double checked with ARC an hour ago. The rule still stands. It must be the same type of window. It doesn't have to be the same brand, but it has to be the same look. So that has not changed.
I know we had some discussions last time. Julie, I think it was your association that was discussing that. Did you have any, movement since our last?
Jacob, no, I haven't. I haven't come. I'm back in New Jersey. I'll be down the end of January for that discussion. But yes, it was still, we were still trying to figure out, can we take those mud tins off? And I'm assuming by what he's saying that we can't do it. But again, I think what we're going to try to do is get together and have a meeting and see if we can have a company come in that whoever has them, if they're broken or has a problem with them, we're going to see if we could just get those people to do theirs all at the same time. So I have our management company looking at them now and then seeing if we can get a window company that would say, well, if we have 10 people, let's get all of those done at the same time. But it is my understanding that the muttons still have to be on, correct?
That is correct according to the guidelines. If the windows did previously have the muttons.
Right. Will there be any discussion about that when Crow and the Covenants Committee are talking about that because of the problems with them at any point? That how much they break and, it's hard to get everyone to do it at the same time or it's a very, I'm sure everyone has the same problem with it. It's hard to get a replacement on them. And I was just wondering if there will ever be any kind of change that will allow to be just a single window.
I'm not sure on that. I do know this guideline is one that is in the pipeline of discussions with the ARC and covenants and their kind of joint meetings of updating the guidelines.
Mhm.
Danica, did you have something you wanted to share? So I don't think so. So that is something that they are working on, and I did make a note of that from our last meeting.
I'm sorry, I am here. That one is in the pipeline. We're working on signs next. I will bring that up to chairs to see if we can squeeze windows in before landscaping.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, as long as we know the criteria, if it will at some point be changed that we could alleviate that problem, that would be great to find out early. If not, then certainly we've been considering meetings about how we're going to work that out to get them all fixed at the same time.
Yeah, I did note that from our last condo council meeting, and I'm going to make sure to pass that to Angelica, and I know Danica is going to take that into consideration as well. Once those committees review the guideline, just as far as the challenges facing with the muttons as they age.
Right. I appreciate that because that is the problem. As they get older, people don't replace them. So half of them are off, half of them are on. It's a problem with window cleaning. It's just, we put a lot of pressure on our residents to make sure they do it. But what they may do is just glue it back on or just fix it. It looks terrible. You know what I mean? So it would be better if we could do that, not change the window, just not use the muttons. But again, just any way you want to do it, just, let us know. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Julie.
Thank you.
Next item is doorbell and security. You guys are a much quieter bunch this time. I'll say the last meeting, we were starting.
So, impede your progress.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll just say on doorbells and security, before we start on anything on this, I think I've heard some things in condos before involving ring doorbells or things. Are there any challenges or what are you facing in your associations that you'd like to share and discuss?
If there are issues, because we have, I will say that we can have a ring doorbell, what do you call that?
Video doorbell.
What do they call that?
You call it a peephole ring doorbells. Okay, so it's the camera.
All of them are in the courtyard. But it seems that when somebody moves, has been giving them a hard time and making them take that out for some reason or another. Either they didn't get permission or I'm not really sure, but they're making them take it out. I don't know. So the realtors are giving us a hard time and we don't really quite understand why there's an issue.
Okay, that's because that's in the resale audits or inspections is where that's coming up.
Right.
On it being a violation, being a peephole. Okay. Is that?
Yes.
Do you know anything on that?
Yeah, that's correct.
That's
So, I promise I don't know yet.
Put you on a spot.
From the ARC perspective, this was discussed, the architectural review committee, when they looked at a peephole replacement camera versus one that replaces the doorbell. The committee at the time felt no people, they only wanted on the doorbell. So what I imagine is happening is during the resale inspection, you're seeing what's happening. The challenge that they come back to is they see the peephole camera as a second doorbell to the residents. So they see it as there's two then at that case. That's what the guidelines currently state, and that's likely what's being.
That would make sense. And that has been a very constant issue is the.
And we do have residents that requested that and specifically got approved by ARC before they even came to us. So we've had the same issue. And we've just asked if they remove it and put the normal people back when they sell, so that, you know, it's kind of like it goes with you. You put it on there, you make it leave, but I do remember extensive paperwork for a specific resident that got it all approved and then that policy, but we don't allow them to wire them.
Yeah, they're not wired.
Yeah, so it would be the sole
Right.
doorbell for.
And that's the only doorbell that they have. And it's like I say, it's always in the courtyard. And so it's our understanding that it's not being seen by the street. And so that's why we don't understand. why
But your residents always come to you first, right? Because that's the rule. They have to come to you first, and if you say no, then,
But no, we told them yes.
but if
because-
you say yes, then they do the ARC,
Yeah.
just like everything else. And, oh, by the way, I'm now your resale inspector on top of everything else. So you'll only see me.
You know, I'm not gonna tell you that they always come to us and ask us because our rule, I mean, if you look at our rules and regulations in our book, it says that they're allowed to have it, so they just put it in. And we don't see an issue because we have specific ways and what they can do. They can use this room doorbell with this room doorbell, this room doorbell, and that's it.
As long as we have the paperwork on the file for that individual condo, they're safe.
That could be why there's I mean, in this, yeah, I know what you mentioned would be a separate case. But yeah, I mean, because it could just be missing an application.
Right.
And if it's, and that sounds like it might be in some of these, in a resale.
Do they need an application for each one of them or just one time?
No, for each individual condo.
For each
No,
door,
I understand.
yeah.
So like if I put it in, I have to get.
An ARC that'll live with that condo forever.
Yes, because that's assigned to that property.
Right.
Inside that property's record. So then once the resale comes up, if they see there's a Ring doorbell, they're going to reference that record in that ARC application. And if there was an application, the application was approved for that doorbell. If the person in this scenario followed the structure with ARC, they applied for the doorbell with Crow ARC, the doorbell was granted, that's in their property record. So when they go to sell, they should not have any issues in the resale inspection with that doorbell. If they put that doorbell up without the application going through our ARC, then it would be flagged in a resale inspection. And an application would need to be put in and approved for it to remain, or it would need to be removed to meet because it was never a recorded
Document, yeah.
Even if it's in a courtyard and it's not being seen by the street.
If we can see it from the walkway, looking at the door, which is where we do the inspections from, or from the screened balcony or patio from the public area, if we can see it, it can be seen.
But when you say walkway.
I do know what she's referencing. All of their doors are interior facing to a courtyard that is that.
All of our doors, except for first floor doors, all of our doors are interior facing, yes.
And that's something that might need to be looked into further. And it might have been there've been a violation that wouldn't be because that interior courtyard is owned by your association,
Right.
correct? Even the pass-through road? I'm not sure on that one, but that's playing the guideline a little
Yes,
loose.
it was my understanding, and I could be wrong.
Okay.
As long as it's facing the courtyard and it's not facing the street and can't be seen from the street, then we did not need to get approval. And so that's why nobody has. If I'm wrong, then I guess we need to tell people, but that's my understanding.
I'm gonna take that offline, and myself or Danica will follow up with you.
Okay, thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you. This is why we have these meetings, so we can figure out these types of little issues and better assist you guys.
I haven't done a resale yet, artisan, because I just started doing them for January 1. So I'm interested to see what that looks
We
like.
just had one, where the realtor went back and forth with you guys.
Okay.
So it sounds like the main issue, the real conflict on this is that they're interior courtyard doors.
All right.
And that's where,
The first floor doors have to be approved because they face the street, but if they're interior doors,
So the rule is, to be clear, The rule is if you cannot see it from the street or from a public place,
Right,
it is not considered a violation.
that's my understanding.
True or false?
In most instances, that is true. Okay. And that is in the sense of an inspector will typically do that inspection from public ground, not walking inside the property of the condo, of the association.
Correct. Yeah,
And
that's been my stance all along, but I've been fought on that.
Hold on, there's a fine line here. Let's not get lost in the weeds.
I think I misspoke, but so.
No, you were super close though. In order to do the resale reinspection.
1 second, Lauren.
Legal stance on this, because I have an email specifically pertaining to this app, and I can send it out tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, any other discussion on doorbells?
What about my long hallways at Mirasol,
The interior hallways?
the interior? You have any ruling on that? Because sometimes it's so close that they're facing somebody else's unit.
We have always taken photos of the front door from the hallways or breezeway directly at the door.
Directly at the door.
And if we can find a balcony on the outside, we do the same thing to the.
And what I'm saying, when it faces apartment to apartment, do you have objection to that?
That's included in.
That's included in Lauren's
The opinion.
correspondence she's going to give us,
Great.
just so we have absolute clarity without any questions.
You can distribute that to everybody.
Oh, yes.
Good. Okay. I have a question.
Mhm.
Why do we even ask people to apply when they want to put a Ring doorbell or a Nest? The last meeting I went to for Crow, we spent 35 minutes of the hour talking about the doorbells. Why can't you just say the associations, Mirasol, Spring Park, East Village, North Village, they come to you and say, this is the color we would like to use because it fits with our coloration in the doors and the railings and whatever. And then you say, okay, that sounds reasonable. And just make a blanket out of it instead of nitpicking all these little damn issues.
Is this regarding like a paint or the color of the doorbell or?
Does it make a difference if we were to use a Google and Nest for whatever doorbell?
The brand? I
Pardon
don't
me?
You're referencing, does it make a difference on the brand? On the.
Yeah.
No.
You see, I think we make this more complicated than it has to be. If I came to you or the gentleman that's inspecting
Anyone? Yeah.
and said, hey, this is the doorbell we'd like to use. Spring Park Terraces. We got 110 units, 110 owners. You say, yeah, but it's pretty good. You can do it. Then we tell you, this is the money you can use, whether it's a Nest or Google or whatever. It might be whatever color you want, we'll accept it and make it be a blanket. Then if you come over and you say, oh, wait a minute, that's the wrong color, or that's the wrong brand name, then you gotta pick it. But instead of nitpicking and coming through with all this paperwork that people throw on you, why are we wasting our time doing that? I would think it'd be a bigger fish to fry around here than that.
I can understand that. That just has to
Like I
fall.
said, This is the last meeting I went to the Crow. I sat down there on a nice warm April evening for 35 minutes to listen to all the doorbells, and I'm like, I'm out. So I thought, I'm gonna give this another shot. Cause I'm a diehard. And here we are again, spending damn near a half hour talking about doorbells. Why can't we do that? Why can't you just say, okay, Mirasol, Spring Park Terraces, whatever. You want to use the doorbell, and this is the one you want to use? You got it. And when the inspector gentleman comes around, hey, that's the one we approved. There's no big issue. Why go through all the people?
I hear you.
Everybody go there and, get on bended knees. Can we please do the doorbells?
And
We've got crime all over the place. I would think you guys will be happy if we put doorbells everywhere.
I
But
understand.
the issue. And that's, with all the other issues that we have in this town, we have a lot of them, but we're trying to make improvements, I understand that. But I think we could become more efficient if we operated in some instances, like the doorbell, because you want to catch the guy that's stealing the Amazon package, or that's, they ring my neighbor's door and then he comes out and they got a mask on, they run away. People are 60, 65 years old, they're retired, they don't want to do that. But when you put the doorbell there, that a lot of people, once you say, they're gonna get video of me and check my tennis shoes for something. And that kind of, it's a deterrent, so I would think we'd want to do that myself. I don't know how the rest of the people.
Well, I know in CNN, the crime that we had when they got caught, it was from the doorbells. It's always from the doorbells.
And again,
They take pictures, we call the cops, we show it to them, and they take care of it.
and I certainly understand the television. I know even on the shutters, it tears some piece. They have that cartouche on the bottom of the shutters, and when they redid all their shutters, just like we did, they had to put that on because it was part of what was their original. I understand all that. But I'm talking about something that I don't know. It seems pretty straightforward that it would be a lot easier for you folks and for us if you just said, okay, that's fine. If you come to us, they have an inspector come over and say what we'd like to do. Or tell us which one you want us to use.
When you want.
So I've got
Tell all of
a,
our
That's what you gotta get.
This
So I'm gonna
is
jump in
that's
here.
been improved.
I'm gonna jump in here. I've got a suggestion. So we saw this with, in Artisan as well with the ceiling fans on the balconies. So the Artisan came to us as an association and said, this is what we're proposing as what we will pre-approve for fans in our balconies and in the association, and only let our members utilize these types of fans. They came to ARC and said, is this something that you're okay with and you will approve? And the ARC committee, after a couple of rounds of discussions, they came to an agreement and did approve kind of a pre-approved fan that can be used in Artisan Park condos. Now, the ARC committee and the covenants committee just redid the design guidelines for Ring doorbells, or video doorbells, I will call them. So we can send out that updated design guideline that also comes with a streamlined process if you check all these boxes. So if you as an association want to come to ARC and say, we as an association would like to establish as our main video doorbell for our association, ARC, what do you think? If ARC approves it, then it could be a similar process as the Artisan fan process, and that might make things easier for your residents.
It's better than
I
say.
think that's, so,
Yeah, so I would,
I mean, technically, not technically, I think the rules of the road are in here. Right? You're not supposed to have a light in your fan. On your porch. And the reason is that when the light's on and the fan is going, it creates a strobe effect. And some children who have various disorders, okay, that they're dealing with, this can cause them again to a lot of stress and what have you. So they just eliminate it. Now, you know, I don't go looking for trouble in the association. If somebody says, my neighbor's got this, I want it out, then we enforce it. I don't make it my business to go around every day and say, oh, gee, we got this or we got that. If the light is turned on, then I step in and say, you know, you're not even supposed to have that light there. But if I don't see it on again, I'm not gonna make an issue out of it. I don't know how Chris handled it with me. But I mean, that's kind of the way it operates. But people don't understand that. And, you know, a standardization feature for me, from these fans, for example, it's more some of these you see that, you know, look like fig leaves flopping around. Then you got the other big black ones and the brown ones. It seemed to me like that would be something I'd want to hone in on more than some of these other issues that we're talking about here. I mean, that's something you look at the ports and, boy, that doesn't look good. You know, that's like why we don't have white shades and mauve shades and sage shade. We want it all to be natural wood or lighter offless. So I don't know, it's just something I'd like to consider. I think it would help everybody else.
Thank you for that. I thank Laura for providing the past context I was unaware of. But as she mentioned, if there's things along those lines, the best approach would be as your association to come to ARC with that request or with that proposal of what you would like.
We did that with our shutters.
Yes.
We did that with the shutters. Because the shutters kept blowing off, so we wanted a shutter like East Village is put up. It's a solid, it can be caulked on 3 sides. And it stands a lot of wind because of the caulk plus the Scotch, a mastic that goes on the back, does a really nice job with it. Just very few instances simply incorporated that.
Yeah. And that just helps the streamline process for your association, for us as well in the violations. That's one of the large initiatives right now happening in the joint meetings with ARC and Covenants, is working on streamlining a lot of our guidelines for different items. And they started with some items that have been the biggest with violations, and it's causing our community the largest amount of frustrations. And often in ARC, you know, we're talking, those types of things are smaller, you know, they're the nuances. They're not talking about massive, I mean, while they do discuss massive landscape renovations, and those are on a case by case, sometimes we do have these overwhelming topics of, you know, mailbox color or mailboxes or doorbells, are discussion items, and that they are working through that. There's just a very fair amount of these guidelines that they're working through. They want to make sure that they make them that are best for that, as well as processes that can be streamlined for our ARC coordinator to help move through the approval process faster. So we're seeing quicker turnarounds on applications of simple nature.
I understand that. That makes sense.
Thank you. I mean, thank you for bringing it up so we could provide you with that experience or with that example from the past.
Okay, and one other thing, the parks, are they, Spring Park, the one over East Village, are they, not to be used from dusk to dawn?
Most of the parks are dusk to dawn. It depends on the lighting in the park. I think that like Lakeside has different hours regarding the tennis courts.
Okay, I'll put this park right here.
In the back of this section
This
here.
part, right now, you step out here, you're in this thing for the pool, and then the playground, you're up this ball park, not the field out there in the badger. What's gonna be hours for that, or gonna be hours for the benches and being around out here?
I would have to double check, as I think this pool with its lighting might have a different hours than dusk to dawn. This might be one of the pools that has a set hours to it, which I think it is.
The reason that I asked that is because we had a lot of vandalism here over the years. Cliff worked for the CCDD. I think he was very instrumental. Some people think Cliff is a pain. He gets onto something, he sticks with it. I applaud that. If we had more of that, when a project is given to a contractor to continue, somebody manages, okay? There were signs that said, park closed dusk to dawn. The vandals tore it down. And I talked to the people from the Condo Council at that time. And they said, well, it's COVID, we can't get these made. I said, get something temporary made, okay? A sign that says dusk to dawn. Now they say, don't feel the wildlife. I haven't seen any alligators or anything out there that would be in jeopardy if we started feeding them. But they've got what I think is a non-valuable sign hanging there. When, if you want to enforce the fact and keep the kids out from wrecking this new playground, I'm sitting right across the street and I watch this happen all the time. Okay, they come in there at night. And when Cliff started getting hardcore about it, it got better. You got the Spotsylvania County Police in here and so on and so forth. But to keep that from happening again, and it's difficult if you don't even have any signage that tells people that they can't. And when I mentioned to somebody on the committee at the time, they said, well, what does it look like? So I went over to the terraces of East Village and that big park they have in the middle, and I took a picture of their sign. And I gave it to the person. I said, here it is. I went there over East Village, I took the picture, here it is. It never went anywhere. And that's kind of the same problem the inspectors having with us that we're having with some of the people that are in the key positions of monitoring this stuff. We bring it forward.
I could say in 2024, Parks and Rec was doing an evaluation of all of the signs.
Yeah.
I think this park was still a lot of that the installation of signs that were missing or getting redone was also happening during that playground construction
I
project.
talked to Jeff about it, and he's not here anymore. I said,
Jeff Webb, he's no longer here.
yeah, he came in and he's gone.
I'm his predecessor.
And the other thing is Spring Lake, the gym over there. You want the gym in that window on the right-hand side. I reported that 12 years ago. The seals broke in it. It was under warranty when I first bought it. I've talked to various guys that have come by and little lanyard on, or whatever. And I mentioned that, we would like to get that replaced. They're gonna take it up. That's still never done. And you beat your head on the wall for so long and say, I don't know. But I mean, if you want communication from us to you, when you say, hey, you've got to fix this, and it's okay, we'll write down, we're gonna fix it, we can't fix it, or when we will fix it. Then maybe we should get something from you people. When we cite an incident that bothers us, and you say, Bob, we're gonna do that, that's not we don't have the budget right now, but so we get into the new cycle, we're gonna ask them. When everything else kind of just drops off the chart. But the guy that we talked to, they're gone.
But I can tell you, I'm going to follow up with our Parks and Rec regarding a sign for this park, as well as our maintenance team regarding the windowsill at the Spring Park gym. In the response to that, we really do use and we look at and really try to meet the highest standard on responding to our GoGov our GoGov submissions through the My Celebration app. If you see something like a windowsill at a gym that needs a repair, send that in through there. The great thing about that is you don't have to be the expert on if that's a CDD or an ECDD or a celebration or a condo, an artisan park club issue. The system will help geotag where that is, and then we sort through that. And then we are accountable to the board as well on responding to those items. So that way, if you did put that windowsill in there 10 years ago, it still should be an open item if that's not solved. I'm gonna, like I said, I am going to take the 2 items you mentioned back to our team to try to get action taken on them. But as there's an extra resource for anyone in our community that sees an issue on any of the CROA property, that is the best way to let us know about the issue, because it gets assigned directly to where the team that is going to be responsible for it. And there's an accountability inside that as well.
You're creating a paper trail and it's better than word of mouth.
But thank you. Thank you for raising those concerns. As we have 13 minutes left, I want to make sure we have time to discuss anything else in this room that we'd like to have discussion on tonight. Like I said, I know Greg showed up for this as well. Is there any topics that people, came to this meeting that they wanted to discuss?
Really wanted to discuss about the windows, but Julie said it. If we could get rid of those mullets, we can have a nice looking place, because of the broken ones that were cracked in the sun, they can't even replace them. So what do I tell them? Now they want to put tape to make it look like one of those. That's awful.
Oh, the shutter dogs, little S-shaped things.
The one.
The cross lines.
Cross, yeah.
All of them, those. Yeah, it wouldn't be tape.
I know.
That wouldn't be tape.
No, otherwise it's bad.
Yeah, when the sun's just gonna cook it, it's gonna fall off.
Exactly.
We'll make sure that's passed along to those for when they review that, if that's something that they can have, that the art committee and covenants review it in line with the current guidelines to see what flexibility or options they can take.
I think you'll get more, I don't know, I just think we need new windows now. And you'll get more continuity about them.
Jacob, I have a quick question about windows.
Mhm.
Chris mentioned that there are going to be new guidelines for windows. How is that going to affect people who already have the windows there? And like, we want to make sure that all of our windows are consistent. We don't want, anything different. So are the new guidelines going to be any different so that it would you have the consistency?
So most of this isn't getting rid of current or pre-existing guidelines and bringing in whole new ones. The idea is to just go through them, streamline them, update them for items that are in, we're in 2025. Some of these guidelines haven't had a ton of adjustment to them since they were originally written, and they might not be working with the current, environment or access to the same materials. So that's the type of work they're looking at, as well as making sure that the process of applying and getting approval is more streamlined and helpful for the ARC committee, the ARC staff, and in sense, making it a faster process and a better experience for those. Anything that has been a recorded ARC submission and is approved is not in current scope of being like reevaluated and saying it's not, now it's out of, it doesn't meet, current compliance. But thank you for that.
Jacob, I'd like to take 1 second to go back to the discussion that we had at the last meeting. I'm going to make it very short and sweet. I only want to say it because we have CCDD there, and of course Chris and ARC and everyone else. That Carlisle again is, when I come back, I will be coming to ARC and CCDD about changing over our parking lot to celebration residents only. So I'm working up a plan now to try to do that, where anybody who parks there has to be a celebration resident and would have to have a sticker. And then if we, as Carlisle residents, have guests, then maybe we would put a certain tag on there for our guest. The parking lot, I think it was from day one, was supposedly part of an agreement with CCDD for some water treatment system that we had used. But I've spoken with Russ, I've spoken with Jack McLaughlin, Chris and I have spoken about it, that we are, thinking we're going to change that over, because over the years, what has changed is Columbia has come in and used this parking lot 24 hours a day. We've had many issues with people parking in that parking lot because they're not residents, as you know. So I just wanted to make everyone aware that that's what I'm going to be working on. And I hope CCDD and CROA and ARC will support us with this, because I know there were a lot of issues during the holidays with people trying to park not only behind the garages that we had to have towed, but parking in certain spots that were for residents. So over the years, there's been a big change in that parking lot, the usage of. And I know when I'm there in the morning, probably, now we're talking just the front parking lot. The back parking lot always has remained part of Carlisle. It was just the front area. But when we looked up all the information about it, Chris and I looked into it, and it does belong to us supposedly now. And so I'd like to get it changed so that residents can park there. So if we have these events and things like that, we're not getting people from the outside, and we're not getting people from Columbia. They should be parking in their own parking lot, or those people should be parking on the streets, as we pay to maintain that parking lot. And we pay a lot of money to do so. So I just wanted to make everyone aware that that's the goal for me to try to do this year, so that our community can use that parking lot when they want to use it for events, etc., instead of having people coming in and using it, or having issues where they're not taking care of it when they do use it. We've had many times to go over to Columbia with aprons or trash, and we've also had the issue with a lot of guests that use that parking lot. So I thought about it for a long time, and I'm really going to start the process and hope that everybody will work with us to get that to be not for Carlisle, because I understand we have garages, but for Carlisle, for celebration residents, not just for Carlisle. So if no one's parking there at night, if it's not a resident, obviously, we could use it for our own people. But I want it to be for celebration residents only. And I think it's a smart thing to do, considering the amount of room that's needed for our residents to park. And I think it wouldn't be as detrimental to anybody in our buildings that we have to worry about it, and the fact that we pay to maintain it. So that's what we're working on. I wanted everybody to know We spoke about it before, and I'm asking for full support on that, so that any one of you in that room should be using that parking lot over anybody else coming in or Columbia.
Happy to hear the progress made on that. If I could be a conduit, I do know that the artisan condos requires a separate sticker as well for their interior parking, for their parking lots. If it's something you would just, I don't know how much of a resource that would be, because I know that you're talking about something slightly different, like all celebration. And it sounds like it might not be a separate sticker situation, but if it's something you were looking at and maybe needed a local resource, it's not something I can help you much with, but I know the Artisan has a similar kind of they have a sticker situation or policy regarding their association owned parking.
Well, I'll be coming to everyone when I come down for, how to do it. We have not only a management company, but we have a building management person, as Chris knows, that maintains our properties. So I was talking to him about having A-frames put on those certain roads, where you could come into that area, that is going to say celebration residents only. We haven't changed it yet, because I thought I would have to speak to everyone about the stickers and, the logistics of it. So we didn't do it for the holiday, but I'd like to start it so that people get used to it, especially Columbia, as of, the next few months after I come in, because it just doesn't make sense to us anymore that the residents they don't have a place to park, and yet people coming in or Columbia use it all day long. So I'd like to see it turned over so that everybody could use it for when they need to for the events, or if they want to come to the restaurants or whatever. And from what I understand, that whole thing is now ours and capable of doing that. So I'm hoping we can work on that come January.
Just the other day, I was driving down that Sycamore Street and I saw like 3 employees of a local, restaurant walking out of your parking lot. So I've seen it with my own eyes, the issue that you're facing. So I'm glad to hear.
It wasn't like that before, I'm an original owner there, so it's 17 years or whatever it is. It wasn't like that, but then they just came in and started taking it over. And then we had people, of course, coming from out of town parking there. And then we had a homeless person living there. That's why we had to put the lights up and make sure it was secure for anybody walking the streets there. So, it's been a long time coming. The past boards, I think we were too busy with other things with the buildings, but now I really want to make that so that celebration, can enjoy it and use it instead of everyone else. So I just wanted to let everybody know that I'll be coming with anything that we need to do to get it done.
Thank you, Julie. And I look forward to seeing you in person next time and actually meeting you face to face. In our 5 minutes of this meeting, I forgot to mention at the beginning, I know there's another meeting in this room at 6 p.m., but is there anything else while we are?
Can you just group, if you have an email address, can you connect us by email? This actually came up at a meeting we had about 2 months ago. So there's some background to it that I'm still trying to get smart on, but if you can connect us by email, because ma'am, I've taken over for Jack McLaughlin now, with the new board coming in November, being the Crow liaison. This one will fall to me, but I was actually just emailing staff on this earlier today. So we're still discerning some document stuff there. So if you can get in touch with me on email, I'll get my management on.
Sure, Greg. Yeah, I was going to do that, Greg. So that sounds great. I appreciate it.
Yes.
Anything else from the council? No?
Can we just go over the fans real quickly, since we didn't even discuss those? The exterior fans?
Would you like to just discuss?
Well, are you trying to get them to be uniform also?
No.
No.
That is just one. I know I wanted to put it on here because I knew I'd heard that from some other areas.
Yeah, people have asked that.
Yeah. And as Lauren mentioned, used the example with Artisan Park going at it at a fuller approach. We just wanted to provide that as knowledge.
Right. So we should all ask you guys before anybody puts an exterior fan out there.
It is better. It is better. Anything that is, like I said, that can be viewed from those areas or to help make an easier resale inspection. If there is documentation in their property file as that single unit, it is always just more helpful in those processes. And that is one of those items that is in that conversations of being streamed.
Perfect.
And if you see any obvious violations in your community of fans like rusted, broken, droopy because of the excessive heat, reach out to me directly and say, hey, Chris, inspect this. Okay, if you don't have an enforcement committee, just lean on me for that part because Georgetown does it all the time because they're so huge.
Yeah, use our team as a resource if you need help on those types of items. Well, thank you all very much. I look forward to seeing you all again in our next meeting.
Thank you for your time, everyone. I appreciate it.
Thanks.
I think there's.